Okay, I believe we are live here. I am going to give everybody some time to sort of trickle in as we do every week. Um, it is the end of June, where this is the big planting season for pretty much everywhere for outdoor plants. Everyone's kind of getting their seed starts and their clones into the ground, which means it's a big month for us. Oops, let's get that. There we go. It's a big month for us. We do a lot of consulting for farms around the country, so I've been doing a lot of traveling, and we create feeding schedules. We do obviously a lot of them are running our genetics, and we do irrigation layout and pest management consultation. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into a holistic approach to doing the best that you can do with an outdoor crop. And there's a lot of parallels from the agriculture industry that the cannabis industry just hasn't really taken note of. There's a lot of stuff that have a lot of science, a lot of technology that's available to people who are growing soy and corn or wine grapes. And the cannabis industry has just been a little bit slow to adopt those things. So it's always a privilege to be able to bring those technologies and those. Sorry, one sec here. Um, yeah, and those modern techniques to the cannabis industry, just because it's been illegal for so long, and there's a lot of people who are still kind of operating under that old school, not kind of really looking at research papers that have been done, since Canada went fully legal. There's been a ton of research that's come out, and it's all extremely enlightening. It's a lot of good information, and that these are the things that these are at the forefront of cannabis plant and soil science, and there's the industry has been a little bit slow to adopt that. So suffice all that to say, it's been a very busy month for us, but we are super excited for what's coming up with Speedrun this week. So if you guys were here, hey Joe, hey DJ, Tim, Kenny, JT, how you guys doing? Max, good to see you guys. Appreciate you stopping by and spending some time. So where was I? Oh, by the way, if there's any audio issues, please let me know, because I think last week where people were having a hard time hearing me, and I think it's just because I was not putting my face close enough to the microphone. So if you're having any trouble hearing me, kind of just let me know in the chat, and we will get it fixed. Awesome. I think this might be the first live stream where we didn't really have any problems problems starting it up. So audio started off loud, but it went down. Okay. Yes, we got new drops, DJ. That's one of the big things I'm going to talk about tonight. So those of you who have been with us since the beginning, I think I see some names here, Joe and Joe. Those are friends that have been with Speedrun and supporting Speedrun since day one. Like there's people who there's quite a few people that mainly in the Facebook group who have been just so exceedingly supportive, have done, obviously they've done business with us, they've gotten our genetics, and they've told people about us. They've really helped to spread the word, and there's really, I couldn't ever express in words how thankful I am for those people who have been here with us since the very beginning. Joe D'Amato and Joe Natoli have been, I've seen those names probably for the last 8 months on like a daily basis. So yeah, thank you guys. And then if those of you who are new, you probably were not around when we did our first early release multi-pack. So we have 3 strains that have become actually really popular strains. It's probably, it's some of our most popular strains. We have 3 strains: Jehovah's Witness, God Particle, and Holy Fire. So those 3 came in a multi-pack together, which means, instead of it being a build your own multi-pack, we have a multi-pack that we've built for you with strains that have not been released yet. And usually, as we do this, the multi-packs, the early release multi-packs are going to have a theme to them. So last theme was like religion for some reason. I think we just kind of thought it was funny. And then we wanted to kind of pick a video game that everybody remembers and loves, and choose some strain names from that video game, just because it's especially this one. I spent hours and hours and hours. I just dropped my pen. Hours and hours playing Mario Kart, Mario, Super Smash Brothers. I just, the list goes on. Mario, Paper Mario. I've played so many of those as a kid, and Mario just kind of holds like a special nostalgic place in my brain. So I figured we would do a Mario themed multi-pack, and let's see if I can get this page open. Yeah, as luck would have it, we're releasing this multi-pack, and the Mario movie just came out. Actually, we're working with somebody. You'll probably hear about this in the future, but I can't really divulge any information. But we're working with somebody that you guys all probably recognize, and we're going to be choosing a strain name specifically from that Mario Peaches. I must have missed something, because everybody knows about this Peaches thing. Peaches. I just, yeah, Joe, it's actually, you got that spot on. It might be Peaches, but it's might be Peaches or Peaches. I don't know. But yeah. So anyway, we're working on that. The Mario movie has come out, so we decided we're gonna release a new early release multi-pack, and we're gonna have a few new strains and a unreleased freebie. So you guys are getting 4 unreleased strains at once. There's going to be a limited quantity, so we can't, we're going to be dropping these strains just like we did with the Jehovah's Witness, God Particle, and Holy Fire. We're going to be dropping these strains individually in the future. It's not necessarily right after the multi-pack. It might be a little bit of a time break between the first drop of the early release multi-pack, and then when we go ahead and release all of those strains one by one. There's some here that you guys, I know, I've gotten a lot of questions about them. I think probably I mentioned them on the last live or something. I don't remember particularly well where that information leaked out, but so I'll give you guys some strain names. How many people do we have here with us right now? See if I can get into the 20 people. That's good enough. Okay. Yeah, so I have a credit card now specifically for Speedrun. Joe, yeah, it's we got to put we got to do credit accounts, like the when you buy heavy machinery, or when you buy whatever, you at Uline you can get like a credit account where you just kind of place the order, and then they'll bill it to your account later on. Maybe we should start something like that. We've gotten quite a few inquiries of okay, this is how much I'm going to want to spend on Speedrun, and as those drops come out, it's pretty much just it'll just go ship directly out to you, and we've been thinking about that. The other thing that we're going to probably, we're working with our web developer on this, but we are going to be adding a buy it now button, just because we do have some strains, especially this. I foresee this multi-pack going pretty quickly, and for situations like this, we're thinking about adding a buy it now button, like on Amazon, where you don't have to go through the checkout process. You just click buy it now, and you've got your whatever you bought. So that's one thing that we're going to be adding. There's a bunch of stuff coming to the website. Let's see if I'm missing any comments here. Yeah, Ken, four new strains. One of them is it's the freebie strain, so it's not going to get maybe a few less seeds than you do with the strains in the pack. But yeah, 4 unreleased strains, and Max says he's running up a tab. Yeah. No, if there was anything that was worth it to run up a tab on, it is these genetics, guys. I am consistently amazed by how well you guys do with these strains. You guys, oftentimes are able to get them to look better than what we do at our facility. Maybe we'll have higher yields, and maybe there's a few things that we've got really dialed in, but every once in a while I'll see somebody growing an iced latte or a granite haze, and I'll be like, damn, that, you really killed it there. I don't think we've ever seen an iced latte come out that frosty. So So yeah, just been I've been really impressed. And anyway, so let's get into the strains. We have the three that are in the pack, and again, these are Mario themed. So we've got One Up. We got a strain called One Up, and that one is the Fruit Fuel crossed with Pound Dog F5. It's actually the Fruit Fuel BX1 crossed with the Pound Dog F5. So that's like a nice blend. That Fruit Fuel BX1 is relatively stable. It does a good job with not having too many wild phenotypes out there. And the Pound Dog is they work together well because the Fruit Fuel has like a larger, more vigorous bud structure. And as we've been breeding the Pound Dog to increase the frostiness and increase the terpene percentage and the terpene quality, it seems, a lot of our other strains that we've been breeding that already had the terpene quantity and quality and already had the frostiness, and now we're breeding them toward being larger. And in that kind of, the Pound Dog is getting bred toward frosty and terpy, and then the other strains are getting bred toward large, fast, high yields. And it seems like a lot of them have surpassed the Pound Dog. We might even have to change the name on the Pound Dog because it's almost misleading and this is just how the strains have developed and evolved. So it's not like we didn't really kind of do that on purpose, but yeah. So a lot of these strains are you're easily going to be able to yield a pound. If any of you guys are following Autopotamus on Instagram, I can type that into the chat so you can go check him out later if you want. So yeah, it's Autopotamus on Instagram. And if you go check him out, he just grew a Granite Haze F5 and pulled 17 ounces in 79 days from one Granite Haze F5. So that's a 1 pound, 1 ounce, and under 80 days from seed to harvest. And that his only other higher yield beyond that one, I think, was in like the 22, 23 ounce range, but it went 120 days. So, ours finished 40 days sooner, and we're still getting over a pound. So I think he did an excellent job. He's such a great grower. He is so dialed in, super nice guy. I've been talking with him, and he killed it. And then I think, the genetics played a large part. Like there's other strains in that tent that he grew that 17 ounce Granite Haze with that were getting the exact same treatment. And they just didn't meet that same yield or quality standard that we're getting from the Granite Haze. And we just this week we released a certificate of analysis, which, if you guys are not familiar, that's what it's called when you get test results. You get your product tested, and they give you an official certificate of analysis. So that we had a Granite Haze that tested at 30.4% THC and 3.11% terpenes, which is, for an autoflower, it really is like there's a lot of groundbreaking stuff happening. Not just with us, not just with Speedrun. There's a lot of great breeders out there. I know Derek from Dream Beans is really killing it, and autos have really come a long way. And I love to see somebody pulling a pound from a plant, and I love to see getting some of these plants tested, and you've got 30+% THC and 3+% terpenes. We are so close to what the highest quality photo periods are now. We're way better than what the highest quality photo periods were in 2010. We're really creeping up on the autoflower, on the photo periods, as far as quality and terpenes and all that stuff, frostiness, all that kind of stuff that people love in the photo period strains. We're working that into the autoflower strains. So let's see, I got some comments here. Be like Rolex, they have a preferred customer list. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, where you just walk in and you just like grab something and they'll, yeah, I've had some conversations. I'm not that rich, I'm not one of those, but I've had some conversations with people who are. So yeah, maybe we'll do that for our high rollers. See, Joe, yes, Autopotamus does excellent work. Sammy, 100%. Ken says he saw that 17-ounce plant. It's insane. He just did such a good job. Can't overstate that. And some high guy, yeah, thousand percent. It looks like he started 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I was about 2 years into my commercial cannabis experience overall. Like, I had done tiny bit of growing. I went to college for a botany degree, and I got a job offer in my senior year. Came out to Oregon and never really looked back. I went back, but to finish that up. But yeah, it's insane how much I've seen, even from our first pheno hunt. So, we did, some of you might be aware that we did our first year that we grew autoflowers. We did a 30,000 plant pheno hunt, all in 5-gallon and number 5 and number 6 pots. And the reason that we did that, we had this ocean of pots. I can probably pull up a picture. Maybe you can see it if I hold up my phone. You know what? I'm on my. I can probably pull it up on the. Yeah, solid. Yeah, the light penetration was good. He does really good defoliation work, and the feeding schedules, like he and I had some conversations about the feeding schedules he was running. He does a great job with that. He was supplementing with CO2, which is pretty rare for home growers, but it was a bucket system. I'm forgetting what the name of it was, but he was running a bucket system. He even proved it to me because I was like, I don't believe the science of what they were saying on that bucket. They were talking about bacteria that consume methane and excrete CO2, where you would require methanotropes and I don't know, I'm forgetting the name of the bacterium, but yeah, it would be a little bit more complicated than what they were saying on the package, so I was pretty skeptical about it. But he went into his tent and filmed it right when so it's like a bucket, and every hour it pushes out some CO2 rich air, and he showed me what his sensor looked like right after the bucket, kind of has a little fan in there and pushed the air out, and it jumped up to like 1,400 ppm. So, if you're ventilating your tent, there's really not a good way to keep the CO2 in there. You'd really have to supplement the CO2 in the room that the tent is in. That's going to be the best way to manage getting the CO2 that's consistent and above environmental levels. And a good way to test whether or not CO2 would be a good option for you at home, you can go ahead and go get yourself a CO2 meter. They're not super expensive. You can get ones that will detect your ppms of CO2 in the air, and put that in your tent, and then put it in your tent. Sorry, maybe start outside the tent. Put it in the room that the tent is in for 5 days or so. Keep an eye on the data, watch it, see what your environmental CO2 really is. Move that sensor over to the tent, and if there is a discrepancy, if the CO2 is significantly lower in the tent than it was in the environment outside of the tent, then CO2 might be your limiting factor. However, if you're running CO2 in the tent, or you're not running CO2 in the tent, and you put a sensor in there and it's essentially exactly the same as what it was outside the tent, then really CO2 is probably not your limiting factor, and there's some other things that you might want to dial in prior to spending the money on a CO2 system, because your plants are not even taking up enough CO2 to bring down the environmental levels, if that makes sense. I was trying to explain that in a way that makes a little bit of sense here. But Mark, no worries, not too late. David, hey, what's going on? Is that U-Explore? U-Explore? I don't know how to pronounce that one. Explore. Explore 1. That's what I'm going to call you. What's up, dude? Yeah, we got, I think DJ I already said hello to. So yeah, the early release multi-pack that's coming out. Did we go into the other strains? I don't believe we did. So we have got one up is the Fruit Fuel crossed with Pound Dog F5. That one, like I was saying, the Fruit Fuel brings a lot of great structural traits. The Pound Dog F5 brings in just some real heavy, dense flowers and, some color coming into it, and then also some really nice frostiness and flavor and smell. And the Fruit Fuel, they blend together really well. So that is one up. That's what the strain is called, 1-Up. And the next one, we were so surprised to find out that this was not already a strain name somewhere. If you guys played a lot of Mario, you might remember the fire flowers, where you made it so you could shoot a fireball. And I looked it up. I could not find any strains that were called fire flower. So as we're kind of making our strain names that are, we kind of used to focus on making strain names that kind of indicated what the cross was, but honestly, I don't really see a need to do that. We can provide the cross information on the website, and you can go check it out, or you can reach out to us and ask, or however you want that to work. But I don't really think that the strain name needs to be like a direct reflection of the names of the strains. It's all made up names. It's all made up names anyway. So yeah, that's kind of the attitude that we take to naming strains. The genetics are really good, and I think that speaks for itself. We don't really have to worry about having a strain name where it's like, oh, you didn't cross that with or you crossed that with a haze. You have to put haze in it, or that's not something we care too much about. So the next one, yeah, fire flower. That one is sapphire crossed with ice latte. And the reason that this one's called fire flower, another reason is we have the holy fire, which is the frosted Cheerios crossed with sapphire. And now frosted Cheerios is, kind of like first cousins, I guess is what you would say, to the ice latte. They actually have a lot of similar traits, but still, distinctly different enough to, for you to notice, okay, this is definitely one and this is definitely the other. So we crossed both of them with the sapphire, and now we've got holy fire and fire flower. David, I'm going to be giving everybody the drop date here pretty soon on the live here. I'll get through these next strains, and then the next one is ice flower. Again, not taken. So we've got fire flower and ice flower. I was so stoked to find out that, hey, we can use these names as strains, and it's really exciting for us. Like, we love naming strains. I keep looking at the me on the screen and not you guys in the eyes. So yeah, we love naming strains. It's one of our favorite things to do. We bounce names back and forth across, everybody will come up with some names, and we'll talk with each other about it, and we'll decide, yeah, I don't like that one. Ooh, I like that one. And once we kind of come to a consensus, like, hey, that's a great name. We were talking about Mario and bouncing back and forth, like, what were the enemies' names? There was the Bob-omb. There was, what's the one, that little chompy thing on the chain? There's a whole bunch of them. Goomba. We kind of went through a ton of different names, and we kind of landed on fire flower and ice flower. I really like the way that it kind of lines up. We got both of those strains in the same pack. So 1-Up, we got fire flower, and then ice flower is sapphire crossed with granite haze F5. This one is a killer. So I didn't even talk about sapphire crossed with ice latte. One of the frostiest autoflower strains that you're gonna see. It's amazing. It's very, very nice smelling. It's got like this really cool blend of the frosted Cheerios can have a tendency to have like a funk to it. Not even like skunky or like, I want to say like burnt tire or it's a good gassy, like it kind of, it has some of those traits, but the frosted Cheerios can have a tendency to have more of, like, I'm trying to phrase this though, because a lot of people don't, it might sound disgusting, but like a gym bag smell, or like kind of like old cheese. It's got this really interesting terpene profile that a lot of people love. I'm more of a dessert strain guy, so I really like the sweet strains. I like the ones that it's floral and candy, and those are my favorite. Those are my favorite types of strains. And Sapphire was my kind of pet project from the beginning. That was the one that I did all the selections on, and really, it's has a special place in my heart because that's my baby, that strain. And it's an extremely frosty strain. It does really well. And then the Granite Haze F5, you guys all know. You guys probably, if you're listening to this, you're aware of the Granite Haze F5 and what it can do. And kind of bringing the Sapphire, which is another insanely vigorous grower, into the mix and combining it with the with the Granite Haze, it's a match made in heaven. Super, super excited for you guys to grow that one. And last but not least, we have the freebie. So this freebie is may or may not be released. We might do a very limited release of this. So because we did not do a lot of runs of this strain, and it was something more of like an R&D project. We weren't really collecting seeds yet from that strain, but the plants came out so good. Like we could not save this. We couldn't not save the seeds. We couldn't not package them. Keep all the plants separate and kind of package them up all together in bags. We could not do it. It was really, again, one of the better autoflower strains that I've ever seen in person. We're kind of consistently, every time we kind of bring new genetics in, we're able to pheno hunt them, choose those rare phenos, get that frostiness factor, stabilize it a little bit, and then cross it with another strain that we've done the same thing with. And that's the case here, where with the freebie, we have a purple amnesia haze. So there's an amnesia haze that we ran actually on the first year that we did autoflowers. We ran an amnesia haze section. I think it was like 5,000 plants, and we pollinated some of them. We brought some of those inside and pollinated them, and ended up with a really nice chunk of seeds off of them. But we didn't really have anything to do with them. So over the last couple of runs, we've planted a handful of each, kind of stabilizing them a little bit, because we had already done the big pheno hunt, and recently we decided to do a big run of it and cross it with the Granite Haze F5. So that is another one where it's like a purple amnesia haze. All the phenos weren't purple. I'll say that. It's not like it's not like an Anvil or a Miner's Daughter from Dan Jimmy over at Gnome Automatics, but there's definitely some major purple hues in there. And this is not even the half of it. We've got so many strains to release. We'll probably be doing another early release multi-pack here soon in the near future. So, we kind of want to clear our back catalog of strains that we have not dropped yet, and kind of make some room for some of the new stuff that we're working with. And you guys are going to be pretty excited when we start to announce the details for that. But yeah. So 4 strains in this one. 4 strains coming up in another early release multi-pack coming soon. And DevX Labs, hey, what's up? What's up, Joe? Yeah, so I'll fill you in real quick. Anybody who's just kind of made it in here, I think I saw some people trickling in. Yeah, Mark's. He was just saying he was late earlier. But so the strain names for the multi-pack, we've got One Up, we've got Fireflower, and we got Iceflower. And Joe asks, are we going to have stickers with the new strains? Why was there no sticker for Golden Gun? The stickers for Golden Gun are actually going to be shipping out soon. So if you want one, we'll send it to you. We're not ready in time for us to ship it out on the schedule that we wanted to. But yes, we have the Golden Gun. I think there's some sitting around me somewhere right here. We have the Golden Gun stickers, and then we are going to be doing more of these. I think I could probably hold this up to the camera. So we've got these let's see if I can. Nutrient interactions. Some of you guys might be familiar if you ever looked up, nutrient interactions and molders. There we go. Focus that a little bit. Mulder is a famous, I think, botanist, and he made this I guess graph essentially. It's like it's a graph that shows which elements synergize or antagonize other elements, and that means if you look at this graph here, you can say, okay, I know boron, if there's too much of it, is going to inhibit the uptake of calcium. And I know that magnesium, if you provide enough of it, it will assist with the uptake of phosphorus. And you can go through all of the different, so nitrogen, it works really well with molybdenum. So if there's enough nitrogen and there's enough molybdenum, they work really well together, and it's like a synergistic relationship. So nitrogen and magnesium, also same thing. They work back and forth with each other, and it's a super cool little chart that we have there. And then we've got our this is like a one that got cut off a little bit, but you'll get the idea. We've got the nutrient availability at different. You can't see it, whatever. different media pH nutrient availability. So it's a little chart. It's really meant to kind of stick on the inside of your tent for quick reference. And we're going to be doing another one with terpenes, kind of identifying which terpenes are which and what they smell like. And we're going to make them nice and pretty, just like we're doing with these. So it could be a whole series of educational stickers. And also, we will be doing the Golden Gun stickers as well. Those are going to ship out. Probably with just like the next batch of orders, you'll get one of these, and you'll also get the Golden Gun stickers. And those will be a limited run on the Golden Gun. We'll probably do about 50 of those. So it's if you get them, it's a cool little collectible because we're not going to be printing too many more of those in the future. So let's see, Joe. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, it's we're definitely going to be sending out the Golden Gun. If you guys saw the design on Facebook. It was, it was the little James Bond barrel shot with the blood coming down, and instead of James Bond in the little center of that circle, it's a guy watering a plant. So that's the sticker that is going to be coming out, and it's you guys will definitely see some stickers for that. Okay, so making sure I'm not missing any questions here. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and then. This, I know I've said this a couple times, but now officially the mystery beans. The mystery beans are going to be released alongside the drop this week. And now it's time for me to announce the drop date. The drop date for this multi-pack, which is, the 4 new strains, is going to be this Friday. So it's probably going to be, I'm most likely going to try to make it after work hours. So think about this time on Friday, maybe about 6 o'clock. So, half an hour earlier than this. So definitely keep your eye out for the official announcements on the Facebook group, on the Instagram, the Twitter, the Discord, the Reddit, the YouTube. Well, we're on YouTube, but sweet payday. Yeah, that's what we're trying to line it up where people are like not super strapped in between. I've lived paycheck to paycheck. I know exactly how. For 100%, it's when you allocate a certain amount of money for something, it's always nice to be able to spend that money when it lines up with your pay period. I completely get that. So that's what we're trying to do here. That's why we selected Friday as our drop dates usually. Sometimes we'll do a drop kind of, sprinkled in a little bit more random, but Fridays generally is when you can expect drops. It won't be every Friday, but when it is a drop, when we're doing a drop, we're going to really try to keep it limited to Fridays. And the multi-pack's dropping, the mystery beans are dropping, and just so you guys are aware, we're still doing the $5 Fridays, and this will be your first opportunity to get that. And then prior to that, it's going to be the mystery beans are half the price of what our normal seeds are. So, we sell our 3 packs, which actually have 4 seeds, for $45, and some of them are on sale for $39. And so that would mean that the mystery beans, sorry, I want to say mystery seeds. It comes to my brain as mystery seeds, and I have to make sure that I'm calling it the same thing every time. The mystery beans are going to be half that price. We're going to be selling them in larger quantities. So probably looking at like 15 to 20 mystery beans at a time as the minimum. We might do a couple different sizes. We're really going to be pushing, and as the number of seeds that you get as far as mystery beans, so like if we do a 25 pack, we do a 50 pack, and we do a 100 pack, the price will come down per seed. So it's a really nice way for people who are not as concerned about the sativa indica thing. They want to try some new variety. They love our genetics, and hey, like getting a great deal on some. It's all the same strains that you've seen on our website that you've all grown, that you've seen people growing. It's all the same good stuff. They're just mixed together. So the more of them that you buy, the more the price will come down. There's price breaks, and we want to really make like nice big, amounts of seeds available to people at a price that's not going to break the bank. So I think this is a really great way to do that, and I think a lot of people will be interested in picking up some larger quantities of seeds, and we'll we'll see a lot of people growing some big fields of speedrun. I see 4M reviews, Minnesota medical. I need more stickers. Yeah, we can definitely get some stickers out to anybody who wants them. It's always appreciated when you place an order to get the stickers, but it doesn't mean that we won't send some out if you've recently ordered and didn't get the sticker that you wanted. We're happy to send out a sticker for you. Would it be easy? So I want to make sure I'm not. Would it be easy to tell what mystery bean was grown? For a lot of them, yes. Like you probably reach out to us and ask if you're not able to kind of tell. I would say in the day 45 to 50 is when it really kind of becomes evident based on the terpene profile, based on the plant structure. I can point something out and say, yeah, that's sapphire. Or I can point something out and say, that's granite runts. I recognize that smell. Granite haze, And our most popular strains are more likely, you're more likely to get more of our most popular strains in there than you would of some of the strains that don't sell quite as much, which, hey, people are sleeping on some speedrun seed strains because there are some of those out there. I think a lot of it's in the name. I think people a lot of people, it's a subconscious thing where you see the strain name and it instantly, first impression, attractive to you. And people are more likely to go and pick some of that up. Then I think, some of these strains like Granite Runts is a little bit of a weak name. So that's kind of such is the way, or that's just, it is what it is in this industry, basically. So I will say I want more. I will 100% be placing future orders. Yeah. So we can, like I said, stickers, we can make those available to everybody. We've got the sticker printer. We can, we're printing out some pretty dope stuff. So yeah. And then what else was on my agenda today to talk to you guys about? Pull that up real quick. Okay, yeah, so this week I wanted to do a Q&A. So I can probably open it up to a Q&A. If there, so right now, I'm sure a lot of you guys, at least probably some of you guys are growing outdoors, and there's a lot of different things that you need to look out for when you're growing outdoors. Depending on your region, you might end up with aphids, you might end up with some bud rot because your plants have gotten, your buds have gotten too thick. And I think I might have talked about this on the fungal pathogen stream. But if you're growing outdoors or you're growing plants indoors and you're concerned about high humidity, always go through, and if you see any dead pre-flowers, which are right where at the node, where the branch kind of branches off from the center stalk, and you'll see a little pre-flower there. If that pre-flower has turned brown, that is dead plant material. And what happens with that dead plant material is that it gets absorbed by the buds as they grow, and you end up with just mold because it's dead material, kind of surrounded by live material. Water gets trapped in it. It's a great breeding ground for botrytis, and that is it's a disaster when that kind of stuff happens. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that you can. Ooh, no. Computer just tried to restart itself. There's a lot of tips and tricks that you can kind of pick up along the way as you more experience with growing, as you've grown in different environments. And I like to say to you, there's a lot of people out there who claim to have 10 years of experience, and what I've seen is that a lot of them have 1 year of experience 10 times. People kind of stick to their specific style of growing, and they're not really open-minded to seeing what possibilities could be out there for improving their systems and processes. So that's what we're all about, is learning and kind of basing things on science and having dialogue with our customers to make sure that we're covering those bases. We're providing that information that you guys really need to be able to grow the best plants. And as we start to put out more educational content, these kinds of back and forths are going to be super important for us. So I see some stuff coming in here. Minnesota says, shout out to Ben and the team. I got some incorrect beans, and they sent me my correct pack in double the quantity. Now I have way more than I ordered. I'm a very happy customer. You got it. Hey, man, we don't like to make mistakes. We never like to make mistakes. We do make mistakes, though. We are definitely not perfect. And e-commerce is new to us. We've been doing breeding for a long time, but these large spikes in order volumes and when we do drops, sometimes things can get missed or mistaken or kind of messed up. And when that happens, we take care of our customers. And that's, people in the Facebook group and people on the Twitter, they will vouch for that fact that we really do take care of our customers. We do everything to go above and beyond for them, and that's a good example. Very happy to do that for you, Mr. Minnesota. Um, so let's see, more questions. Best indoor strains and best outdoor strains. That's another thing we're going to be releasing. So we have some pre-selected multi-packs coming out that are designed for, we have a Backyard Beast pack, we have a Nose Candy pack, and we have a Frost Warning pack. Those three multi-packs where we group our existing strains together. The Backyard Beast are the strains that do really well outside. Fruit Fuel, Frosted Cheerios, Pound Dog F5 is one of them. Those three strains do really nicely outside. And then, with the Frost Warning, we've got Ice Latte, we've got Sapphire, and Holy Fire are the three in there where, in the Frost Warning. And then we've got, what was the last one? Nose Candy. We've got Jehovah's Witness. We have got the Granite Haze F5. And why am I forgetting the last one here? It'll come to me. But yeah, so we're grouping them all together like that. So we're going to be selling those, make those available right around the same time as the drop. And it's it's kind of just some fun names, but it really prevents people from having to ask which is your best strain that goes outside. Did I just say botrytis? Maybe I meant to say botrytis. But yeah, so it's just a good way. Sorry, hold on a second. I'm missing some chats here, so I want to make sure I'm not, because I think I can only scroll up so high here. Some high guy says, I've been ordering your seeds on a Seed Hub site. I found you sold them direct, and we'll be going there from now on. I still enjoy some other breeders' stuff, but I like yours as well. Thank you very much, some high guy. So Multiverse Beans is the seed bank that you're probably referring to. They did so much for us. Like, we have a real history with them. They were our first customer. So we didn't start with the direct-to-customer sales like we're doing now. We started with some relationships that I had built with Derek from Dream Beans. Derek is a very close friend of mine, and he was working with, or still is working with, Multiverse Beans, and did a really excellent job hyping us up, hyping up speedrunning, and telling people what our story is. And I think the story is a really important part of, the journey from going from photo period to kind of the market not looking so great and needing an option to move into higher yield quantities, to make extracts, or higher yield quantities to go into flour or pre-rolls. And we kind of came up with the idea of auto flowers. And it was a little bit prohibitively expensive for us at the time to do light dip. And we did this giant pheno hunt of auto flowers, and that was what kind of brought us to. We went to the Auto Flower Cup that year. That's where I met Derek, and ever since then, they've been, Multiverse Beans has just been a huge supporter of us. They really helped us get launched. So I'm forever indebted to Paul over at Multiverse Beans and Derek over at Multiverse Beans. They're really, really great people, and I'm really super happy to work with them. So. Backyard Beast, yes, yeah, for sure. I think the names really, they indicate what is in those packs. They really do. And then if you guys have any specific questions about any grow stuff, I'm happy to answer that. We still got about 15 minutes here, but if not, I'll kind of just go on a rant about a particular subject. Let's talk about organic versus conventional again. This is something that I really want to drive home. This is spaced repetition here. I want you guys to remember this, so I'm going to be talking about it before I get into this, international shipping. We're taking inquiries for international shipping. So if you know anybody who's out in Australia, who's in Canada, the UK, South America, South Africa, any of those areas, pretty much anywhere in the world, we are shipping seeds to now. So if you know anybody outside the country who's interested in picking up some speedrun seeds, that's something that we can now accommodate. So, good question, Frosty. Which good question did I miss? Oh, Frosty. Oh, I see it here. Okay. Which of your strains do you think are best for pressing flower rosin? Frosted Cheerios. Frosted Cheerios is, we've seen, I think, 27% yields on flour rosin. Somebody actually just sent me a picture of some flour rosin that I believe was made with Frosted Cheerios, but I might be mistaken. There's some on our Instagram. There's some pictures. I think maybe we posted those as stories, but I'll post some more. You can see the quality comes out amazing, like nice light yellow, beautiful flour rosin, and people are getting some crazy high yields off of it. Frosted Cheerios is one of those more like sandy strains. And when I say sandy, it's kind of a term that people in the extraction space use, where it's not as greasy and it's not as sticky, but those trichomes are really densely populated on the plant, and also it's you can kind of touch it. You don't get terpene grease all over your fingers, which indicates that when you bring it down to temperature to try to pull the keef off of it, it does a really great job in that process, because those trichome heads are nice and round and they break off really easily. And then for flour rosin, it's kind of the same concept. Really densely populated trichomes, large trichome heads. That's another big factor that people kind of forget about, is just because a strain is frosty. I call this the purple punch effect. I've been talking about this for years. Purple Punch is a strain that came out, 5-6 years ago or something, 7 maybe, or maybe even older. But it's a very frosty looking strain. One of the most frosty strains I had seen at the time. It was grown outdoors, and it just looked like indoor. It was amazing. It was really a really nice strain. But when we went to have it tested for THC, it came in at like 19%, even though it was some of the frostiest. Let's see another question here. Tim, have the nutrients shipped out? They are shipping out this week. Yeah, if you haven't gotten your shipping email, we're going to be sending those out this week. It's just been a ton of pre-orders, so we're kind of having to break it into batches. But yes, the nutrient, some of them have shipped out, and if you haven't seen it ship out yet, it will very shortly. Going to be running indoors in a 10x10 tent with CO2. I want to run 3 plants. I was thinking Jehovah, Granite Haze F5, Golden Gun, 30 plants in small 2-gallon pots. Okay, let me decipher that. You're putting up a 10x10 tent, and supplementing with CO2. Tell me in the chat here which kind of CO2 you're using. If you're doing like a burner, or if you're introducing some air gas CO2 into there. Let me know what you're doing there, and I'll have some advice for you. And then you want to run 3 plants, I'm guessing in larger pots, Jehovah, Granite Haze F5, and Golden Gun. And then you want to also put 30 plants in 2-gallon pots in the same tent. Am I getting that right? Let me know if that's what you're talking about. I see you explore. Let me just move this a little bit over here. Kind of got some stuff in the way on my desk here. One of these. Okay, so you explore. I see that you have 30 plants total, 1,400 ppms. Bottle, I'm guessing you're talking about the yeast, sugar and yeast, brewer's yeast, to make the CO2. If you're getting 14 ppm consistently out of that, awesome. It's you're doing a good job. And then 3 strains, 30 total. Got it, understood. Okay. Yeah, I would say if you want to put them in 2-gallon pots, I would say even maybe do 4 strains, so that you can just have 4 quadrants of different strains, and you're not having to split it up, 3 strains into a square. You could have 4 strains into a square. It's a little bit more neat. No CO2 gas, just using the bottle. Yeah, so if you're hitting those ppm CO2 numbers, keep it up, do it. You don't need 1,400 though. The maximum ppm, the maximum ppm of CO2 that you're ever really going to use or need as a home grower is somewhere around 800 to 1,000. And anything beyond that, it's a majorly diminishing return. And what that means is you've got a graph of your CO2 and how it affects your plants and how much benefit that you get from the CO2 going upwards. And then as soon as you get to about 1,000 ppm, it really flattens out. Still upward a little bit, and then it flattens out even more and more and more until it's pretty much just a plateau, kind of coming up to like the 1800 to 2000 ppm of CO2 range. 1400 is really unnecessary. However, if you're not able to control it as well, and that's just kind of what it's doing, that's just what you're getting out of it, it's not going to hurt anything. So that's just some little advice there. And it's, this is something where we work with a lot of commercial clients. So I'll analyze their CO2 systems and I'll say, you are way overdoing this. I don't say it like that to them, but you're way overdoing this. There's ways that you could reduce your inputs and get much better, save a bunch of money. You're not going to get, sorry, I phrased that wrong. Efficiency. You're going to get much better efficiency out of your CO2 if you reduce it here, stop this one burner, do this, because all you really need is 1,000. And a lot of farms out there are under the misconception that 1,400 or 1,800 ppm of CO2 is like going to make it better. At that point, CO2 is not your limiting factor, and you're just putting more CO2 into the air that the plant's never going to even interact with. So let's see. I'll be aiming for 60 DLI. Just wondering if there's a plant you would really recommend. I don't mind it in a tent. It's cheap enough. Did I ever answer your question about the 3 strains that you would want to do? Yeah, so those are 3 good strains. They'll do really well in your tent. And then aiming for 60. Just wondering if there is a plant you would really recommend. I don't mind it in a tent. It's cheap enough. I'm having a hard time understanding the last part of what you said. But if I had a strain I would really recommend, I would say Jehovah's Witness is one of my favorites right now, just because of the stability and the CO2 is cheap enough. Got it. The Jehovah's Witness is one that I've been recommending a lot because I've been so impressed by it. I've been so impressed by the stability. I've been so impressed by the terpene profile, the yields, the frostiness. It's just a stellar strain. It is amazing. I love it. And Jehovah for indoors, absolutely. And then the other one, it's new, pretty new, but we're seeing people kind of finishing them up right now. The Blappleberry. The Blappleberry is a strain that it has some potential to be purple. It's probably more dominantly the green phenotypes, but it has a potential to be purple at the moment, and it grows similarly to the Jehovah's Witness. It has a kind of similar structure, and that's because it has one of its parents is a back cross to Granite Haze, so it shares some traits with the Jehovah's Witness actually, and it structurally you can see it there, which I really like. The Blappleberry has extremely high yield potential, beautiful terpene profile. It's one of the better ones again. I always say that about our strains, just because I really feel that each one is better than the last as we kind of move into our next phase of new strains. So I wouldn't say it's better than the last, but it catches my eye a little bit more. So it says you need to release a Ben's underrated favorites multi-pack. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Mark says, just finished some Blappleberry and some purple hues. What did you think about the Blappleberry, Mark? As far as like the frostiness you got from it and the terpene profile. Interested to hear your input there. Joe says his Blappleberry is stacking very nicely at the moment. Awesome. And yeah, Blappleberry, it's a great one. The Golden Gun is sold out right now. We will be restocking it in the future. We're going to be kind of, it's a long story, but the Golden Gun sold out, is coming back in the future. We are going to be doing some giveaways of the Golden Gun between now and then. And I think what we're going to end up doing is the same thing that we're doing in the Facebook group for our 4,000 member giveaway, which we have soared past. We're at like 4,300 or something now already. But we'll have you guys, if you guys are all on the Facebook, we'll have you come in and choose a number, and then we're going to have 10 pre-selected numbers, and whoever gets closest or guesses those numbers is going to be a winner. Dustin is actually going to be handling all of the giveaway stuff there. So for everybody in the chat right now, you have, we'll definitely, you'll have an opportunity to win some of that golden gun between now and when it drops again. So I'm trying to read the chat as I'm talking. Can't wait to pop final boss with my nutrient kit. Gonna be killer. That one's such a great. We actually have some strains that we've crossed with one of the parents of the final boss. Those are gonna be made available on the website. We're not gonna restrict those just to the or the starter kit. So you'll be able to kind of see some of those traits in a different way. The final boss is one that's been worked on for a really long time, and we're really proud of how it came out. The other ones, they're F1 crosses, and we haven't gotten past that F2, kind of crazy bunch of phenotype expressions, and then moving into the F3 and F4. But the F1 is actually a really nice, stable F1 of this particular. It's the 00 Kush crossed with Sapphire, actually, and that's one where it's been killing it. We're still finishing up our test run of it, but yeah, that is. There's a camera flashing at me. That was weird. That's one of the ones that's coming out. So somehow, I guess on a break from trim gel, your pound dog is meeting its maker. Should probably get back, but I hate trimming. Hey, well, it's awesome to see you here, somehow, guy. I'm really interested to know what your yield was on that larger pound dog. What you got there is what I would say is my favorite phenotype of the pound dog. If you guys haven't gone to check out Some High Guy's YouTube channel, he does some awesome videos. He's grown some peppers. I think they were habanero peppers, if I'm not mistaken, in his tent. And he's got some of our genetics. He ran it next to some Mephisto genetics. And he got one of those, pound dogs. He's actually running in rock wool. And one of the pound dogs that he's growing is there's one specific expression of a phenotype. So there's two plants can be the same phenotype, can kind of looks very similar, smell very similar, but they're not necessarily identical. And that's what I think we see a lot with the pound dog is there slight variations on a theme. But the one that he had that was the larger one in his tent was it's my favorite, beautiful purple frosty. I'm sure it smelled amazing. And yeah, that's one of those where very, very pleased to see people getting, the phenotypes that we are shooting for. So yeah, I'll kind of go through the chat here and interact with whatever you guys have to say for the last few minutes here. Pound dog looks awesome. Top job by Some High Guy. Absolutely. Yes, I could not agree with that more. Awesome. Yeah, awesome Some High Guy. When you post your next video, I'm sure we'll have a yield number on your next video. But I'm sitting on the edge of my seat here to find out what that did for you. Let's see. Awesome channel, good stuff. Some High Guy. Yeah, he's got a great channel. So if you haven't checked him out, go check him out. Pound Dog F5 that's having a crazy mutation, only a couple weeks old. Jason, send me a picture. If you're on the Instagram or the Facebook, send a picture to my personal account. You'll see me in the Facebook. I'm the creator of the group. And then if you want to reach out to us on Instagram, you can send pictures to us on Instagram, and we'll help kind of figure out what might be going on there. If you want to describe it, if you want to type into the chat here, what's good night, Some High Guy, or happy trimming. Yeah, if you wanna kind of describe what is going on with it, I'm happy to kind of try to troubleshoot it for you. Oh, that's right. Granite runs F3. Yeah, thank you, Jason, for reminding me. It's a lot of new stuff this week. So I kind of, there's one that I neglected to write down for myself. Joseph or Devex, I will address your comment in a second. Jason, the Granite runs F3. So the Granite runs that you guys have seen that has been, up for sale on our website for months and months and months, it was F1 cross. So that was the Granite, which was a parent of the Granite Haze. So Granite Haze is, we got the Granite, and then we've got our Haze variety that we worked a long time with, and we kind of brought those two together, made Granite Haze, and then we took the same Granite and crossed it with a Forbidden Runts phenotype that we had done a ton of work with, pheno hunting, stabilizing, getting it to the point where we had something to be proud of. And that forbidden runts phenotype that we were able to pull out, and it's very rare phenotype. There was one in about 1,000. We're very proud of that one. Crossed that one together to make granite runts. So we've been running through generations on that. We redid generation 2 to get to generation 3 again, but even the redo wasn't exactly where we wanted it. So we did not release the F2 version of granite runts. Maybe if you guys want us to, we will release strains, as like testers or kind of like pheno hunting packs, breeder packs. If you guys are interested in doing any breeding, those are some things that we could release as, making people aware that there's going to be more phenotype expression here. It's not just going to be the same across the board. You're going to end up with quite a bit more expressions of different phenotypes. If that's something that you guys would be interested in, it may be a little bit of a reduced rate. We could definitely do that. I got 4M says, I got fatality as a freebie. Is there somewhere to read up on the strain? I don't see it listed on the site. Yes, I believe it's in the Facebook group. Fatality is not for sale yet. Fatality is just our kind of like mysterious floating around, but you have to order another strain to get it, and it only comes as a freebie. Fatality is an enigma. It's an enigma. It's something that we will make eventual. We'll make. God, hold on one sec. Cannot speak when my mouth is dry. We will eventually make that strain available, and that is probably in the next coming weeks. Probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll make that one available, and we're going to be announcing a name for our not God particle, Supreme Runs crossed with Granite Haze F5 or F4. Supreme Runs F2, Granite Haze F4, I believe it was. If you guys have grown those, go to the Facebook group and post pictures of that Supreme Granite cross, because we're going to be naming that. We did a little bit of a contest for people to submit names, and we're going to choose our favorite ones, and then the community will vote, and that's what's going to be the strain name for the Granite Haze crossed with Supreme Runs. And then around the same time, we'll be releasing the Fatality. And the Fatality is Creme de la Creme crossed with Chunkadelic, I want to say. Maybe I'm forgetting one other. I think that's it. Creme de la Creme crossed with Chunkadelic. Real big, chunky flowers, super nice, fragrant, high yielder, beautifully frosty, really nice one. It's a great strain. It's got some really interesting, unique terpene profiles. It's got some pine in there. It's got some like a little bit like earthiness to it. Definitely it's got some of that caryophyllene, black pepper tinge to it when you smell it. Joe says Fatality is really nice at the moment and real frosty, man. Yeah. It's one that we've noticed that it gets real frosty early on. We really like that, and we are excited to see people growing it. I'll go a couple more minutes here to answer some of these last questions. How stable is the Blackberry Haze at the moment? Blackberry Haze, I would say, so Blackberry Haze is a F3 BX1. And I wouldn't say that, F2, it's an F2 BX1. So instead of going to F3 with the Blackberry, we back-crossed it back to the Granite Haze. And the reason we did that was to lock in some certain traits that we were looking for that were attributed to the Granite Haze, just like I was talking about earlier with that plant structure with the Jehovah's Witness. That is what we wanted to see with the Blackberry. So we redid generations, and I would say on a scale of 1 to 10 for the Blackberry being stable, 6.5, 7. I think you're probably going to get 70% plants that are the same phenotype, and you might get 30%, which will be kind of a breakdown of the next most dominant terpene, next most dominant phenotypes is about where that strain is at right now. And as we get it back, probably take it to the next generation, cross it with itself, and then back cross again. And as we stabilize, as we get into these next generations of stabilizing the Blackberry, we're going to really push to make it more purple. We're only really selecting purple phenotypes. So let's see here. We'll start posting pics as soon as my first grow is up and running. Excited for the nutrients to arrive. I bet, yeah, the nutrients are going to change people's lives for sure. It's so simple to use. I'll give a quick little snippet on the nutrient program, and then we'll head out for the night. The nutrient program, the reason that it's unique is because if you're going to buy some liquid nutrients from the grow store, you're going to be getting a bottle of something that is maybe 9% nutrients and the rest is water. So what we like to think is that we are shipping you a liquid nutrient line. You just need to add the water yourself. So you tear open the packets, you pour it into the bottle, and there's a 32-ounce line on the bottle here. So you fill it to the 32-ounce line, shake it, make sure that all of your nutrients are fully dissolved, and there's a reason that this is clear so that you can see in the bottom and make sure that everything's fully dissolved. You don't hear anything kind of clacking around in there when you shake it, no chunks of salt. And then once you have it blended, that'll probably last you. If you're growing 4 plants in 5-gallon pots, it's really designed to last you about a week. And then the next week, a week to 10, I think it's a phase. Sorry, so like early veg, it should last you through that. If you have to make a little bit more, you can. But yeah, so that is the cool thing about our nutrient line is that it's a liquid nutrient without the water being shipped to you. And then beyond that, there's another thing that's really cool about it. The application rate is always the same. You are always going to put, I think you're not going to be able to see it, but so this smaller chamber right here holds 1 ounce. It holds 30 milliliters. And our application rate is 60 milliliters, which I know sounds really high. But the reason that's okay is because we are designing this to be a high application rate. The reason that we did that is because I know we work with a lot of growers who are new to growing, and you might not have a very accurate graduated cylinder to measure out. So let's say they say, Athena, you need to do 14 milliliters per gallon, and then that turns out you want a little bit more, so you got to go to 15 milliliters per gallon. Measuring the difference between 14 and 15 milliliters in even a small graduated cylinder for a lot of people is not easy. It's not something that people really have the know-how and equipment to do. So what we did was blend everything for you so that you're going to get special formulations. You're going to get different amounts of everything, different weights of fertilizers in each packet. And when you pour that in, you dilute it up to 32 ounces of water. You've got another part to your nutrient line. And this is an 8-part nutrient line. And all you have to do is squeeze it twice to get the 2 1-ounce shots, put that in per gallon, or pour it. If you're doing a big reservoir, you can just pull the top off and pour it in there, and just kind of keep an eye on the. But this is designed for people who are maybe doing like a gallon or 2 at a time, or maybe even 5 gallons or so. So you just squeeze that twice. You pour it in, and now you've got your fertilizer water. It's not there's really not anything that you have to think about. You don't have to measure anything. You don't have to mix it yourself. You don't have to blend it. You don't have to dissolve salt. It's all kind of, you fill the bottle, put the salt in, fill the bottle, shake it, squeeze 60 milliliters, pour it into a gallon, and you do that all the way throughout the grow. The application rate never changes, but we did make it a high application rate so that you could go from, 60 milliliters seems to be a little bit hot for my plants. It seems like, maybe my environmentals aren't great, and that nutrient level is a little bit too much for my plants to handle. Let's reduce it down to 50 milliliters. Let's just take away 10 milliliters and see how it does. It's much easier to do that, much easier to remove 10 milliliters than it would be to remove 1 or 2 milliliters. And that's why we're doing it. We're giving you a buffer space. We're giving you a buffer room so that if you want to reduce or increase, it becomes much easier to do so because you have that diluted solution, and it's not like we're selling you something that is more diluted than what everybody else is using. We've just designed it to be a dilute, but you're still getting the same amount of everything and more bang for your buck actually than a lot of nutrient lines out there. But we've designed it so that it's easy to manipulate those milliliters. Nathan says, when are those shipping out? This week. You will, if anybody has ordered them, You will see your shipping emails. Probably some people already did see their shipping emails, and more people will be joining us. Or sorry, will be getting those emails this week. Okay, yeah. So 4M says 60 milliliters per gallon of water. Yes, yes. And the only reason that we're doing that is because we are making the fertilizer for you in the bottle, and we could have made it more concentrated. We could have had you mix more of it and only add 10 milliliters or 15 milliliters. Sorry, 15 ounces of water. We could have made it double strength just by telling you to only by getting a smaller bottle. We could have said, hey, let's go with the 8-ounce Bedix bottle, and we'll just make it even more concentrated. But we just went with a larger bottle, and we diluted it more, and we're able to kind of manipulate exactly how we want the input targets to be for every week. So it's it might sound like a high application rate, but it's only because we're doing things completely different from everybody else. Really, it's nobody has. I've never seen a nutrient line like this, and we're very proud to be releasing it. I think you guys are gonna love it, and it's gonna take off like wildfire, like fire flower. So, how long is the shelf life for the concentrate? It can, if it's in a cool, dark place in good temperature, I would say you could probably leave it for maybe even like a month, but it's designed to only to use it up, because you want to use all of it before you switch into the next phase. And the phases kind of range from like 10 to 15 days. So like 10 days to a week and a half to 2 weeks. So you should be able to run through a bottle like this in that amount of time if you're running 4 plants. And if you're not running 4 plants, then I would recommend weighing out, like at this point, weighing out the powder that's coming in those pouches, and the weight will be on the pouch. So it's like if you're growing, let's just say you have a 3-ounce pouch of nutrients, and you're only growing 2 plants. So you would just weigh out 1.5 ounces of that fertilizer, and you can reduce your application rate, and you can add less water and just structure it so that you're not going to have extra left over when you switch to the next phase. Is really what I'm trying to say. pH water before adding to nutrient mix bottle. Obviously, we'll check after nutrient mix is made. I would say it always makes sense to just pH your water before and after. It's definitely a good point. Municipal water and well water generally are not insanely high pH. Sometimes they are. Municipal water can also have other things with it, like some chlorine spikes can happen when there's flooding or droughts or stuff like that. But yeah, I would say definitely check it before, absolutely check it after, and adjust after checking. Please try to avoid having your nutrient solution ever be above 8 ppm. I'm sorry, a pH of 8. The reason for that is there are multiple different types of chelated micronutrients. Iron, the chelated iron that we're using, I think it's EDHA. Hold on one second. I'm forgetting the letters. Let me find that out. Calcium. So there's EDTA and there is EDDHA. Yeah. So EDTA is stable in solution up to, I believe, like 6.7 pH. It's precipitate. The iron will precipitate out of your solution at about 6.7 pH. And what we use is EDDHA. EDDHA is stable in solution up to about 8 pH. That's when you go above 8 pH, you start to see the iron precipitate out. So there's considerations there of making sure that your water that you're adding the nutrients to is at a decent pH. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. Check before and after. Mark says Blappleberry was an easy grow, very pungent on smell, not purple like stock photo. Can't wait to grow the rest of the seeds. Yeah. I think did we put a green picture like as one of the other pictures on? Let me find out here. because the Blappleberry definitely has a decent percentage of purple phenos that pop out in it. Let me see if we did put any. Okay, yeah, we need to add some more pictures because there's 2 purple pictures there. I'll probably add some green pictures to the Blappleberry, just kind of let people know like it's not always purple. And I'll kind of end it with this because we're 15 minutes past the hour here. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this. There are breeders out there who do an excellent job breeding for color. Dan Jimmy at Gnome Automatics is one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, for breeding autoflower plants for color, for great color, purples and reds and all sorts of stuff. We breed for quality traits. We look at this like, are we good with our terpene profile? Is our THC percentage high enough? Is the structure of the plant good enough? Is the structure of the buds good enough? Is the density good enough? Did I already say frost? Is it frosty enough? I think I already said terpenes. Is it fast enough? Is it finishing in less than 80 days? Is it finishing in less than 70 days? We focus on all of those traits. And then if it happens to be purple, maybe we'll go and try to pick 2 purple phenotypes and cross them together. But there's no guarantees that we'll do that because that's not our priority. Color has never really been our priority. And I know for a lot of people that's a disappointment because they love to see the purple colors, but for us it's not an indicator of any kind of quality, and we would rather have plants that blow people's socks off when you grow them, and it's by quality, not necessarily by strikingly purple plants, but strikingly frosty and smells amazing, and everything that you could want out of a strain. We try to have it in there over kind of just messing around with making it purple primarily, because you lose out on a lot of good phenotypes when you do that. Is kind of the truth there. Norma says he doesn't buy genetics for color. I buy for terps. I agree 100%. I'm a terpene fiend. I've told people if I could get that sapphire terpene, whatever the mixture of terpenes that exist in sapphire, if I could just have them bottle it up for me, I would bathe in it. I would smell like that all the time if I could. I love that smell. Says the worst plant I've grown for terps was deep purple and it was rancid. Yeah, I've noticed that there's a lot of purple strains that just don't have the same like vigorous terpene profile that you see with some of the lighter green ones, that almost even white strains where they're so covered in frost. But yeah, well, okay, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up tonight. Had a great time spending some time with you. We got to go over all of the new strains, the new stuff coming out, the freebies going out with the that went out with the Golden Gun, and like I said, we'll send some Golden Gun stickers out as well. And aside from that, we got the early release multi-pack coming out. Don't sleep on that. We're going to be posting in the Facebook group and on the Instagram the drop date, which is this coming Friday at 6 p.m. And we've got the Backyard Beast, Nose Candy, and Frost Warning multi-packs coming out. Ice Flower, Fire Flower, and One Up are the 3 strains. I think those are some really strong names, and it's very, very relevant because that Mario movie just came out. So, all right, well, I'm going to sign off for the night. Love you guys. I really do enjoy spending my Sunday nights with you, and I will see you on the social medias. Reach out if you need anything. Reach out if you need anything. That's what I meant to say there. Stop streaming.